Hello, everybody. So, we are back with another episode with Rural Talk with JT, where I try to bring you the best of minds I can think of. So, I can, quite frankly, I can learn something from them, but at the same time, I can also deliver some value to the viewers. So, I'm super excited today having the one and only Jason Cassity. I hope I did pronounce the name correctly
Nailed it.
from sunny San Diego,
That's right.
one of my favorite cities. Super jealous. Definitely weather's much better. There you go. There you go. Yeah, and I love the view you get, Jason. That's a sick office you got over there.
Not
Oh my
not bad,
god,
eh? Not bad.
I love that. I love that view. So, and I'm really excited because I was just telling Jason, I don't really know much about Jason. Only thing I know that he is an absolute rock star. He is killing it on social media. He thinks outside the box when it comes to the marketing. However, he's using the traditional ways of marketing and just making it up to date so it actually works and produces results, right? And that's something we need to all be using. And at the same time, he's just a wonderful, sweet, very kind, good looking guy, like wonderful person. So Jason, thank you.
That was a heck of an intro.
Thank you.
I
Thank you so
appreciate those
much
kind words, man. You can
for
you can walk around and you can intro me all day long, every day.
yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Well, maybe I can get a speaking gig, when you need someone to introduce you, then you give me a call. I'll
There we
fly. I'll
go.
fly anywhere
I
you
like
want
it.
me to go.
I like it.
And I got to tell you, for those of you guys, if you're new to this channel, if you're new to the podcast, every week I try to bring you someone. If you like what we have to say, give us some likes, give us some hearts, give us some shares, ask questions, because the better questions we're gonna ask, the better answers we're gonna get out of this. So if you got any questions, please just fire them out. Don't hold back. That's the reason kind of we're here. And so, Jason, I know we met multiple times, right? And I know you in San Diego. However, we met in DC,
Hmm.
we met in Dallas, we met
Hmm.
in different places
Hmm.
throughout the country, right? And I think going outside the box, meaning just going, not just staying in your lane, even though that's kind of important, but how important you think, in today's day and market, it's like going outside your box and maybe talking to other people and seeing what works in the marketplace.
And it's extremely important. I think that the world is so small nowadays with social media and the internet and things like that. You can learn from people across the country. So back in the day, you had to, get onto a team or find
Mhm.
a local mentor and go shadow them to learn the business. And now you can join a brokerage like Real, and you can literally have the top agents from Boise and Miami and New York teaching you how to grow a YouTube channel every Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the academy. And so we've removed the walls of how business is done. Now, all of that you take back, put into your local market. I can't sell houses in
Mhm.
Dallas or DC, but I can go learn from people in those cities. And secondarily, like the attraction aspect of Real allows us to partner with those agents in those other cities. So when I met you in DC, I was out there supporting a
Mhm.
couple of my tier one agents in Arlington that were part of that event. And I had just come down from Boston where a couple of my tier one agents hosted an event. And so it allows us to partner with great agents too. And so I think it's cool. I think the main thing about business is selling houses in your local market, but this is a new second wrinkle that I've really gotten to discover here in 2022 and 2023.
Yeah, I mean, look, one plus one, it's more than one, right? I
Mm,
think, together we better, and I think you going out of your way and going out and supporting your agents, which you kind of brought within, in the organization, right? Because you want them to produce and you want them to be successful. That's contagious, right? Like that spreads out like wildfire, very very easily. So now, before we go into the nitty gritty, now, besides being a rock star agent and selling a lot of real estate and being amazing at marketing and with all the things you do, like, who is Jason? If you take off the real estate hat, like, who are you as person?
Uh, Dude, that's a great question. So I'm a dad of two. I'm a husband, right? And so outside of the real estate, I feel like the real estate industry has consumed, 80% of my life. But outside of that, I still have, I have two kids under 4, so 2 little boys, and my wife. And, we bought a house in the suburbs, so to speak, about 15 minutes east of where my office is, out near San Diego State. I try to get a good workout in. I like to golf a little bit. I have a close-knit group of friends, love sports, love Star Wars. Like, there's a little bit of extra layer there of probably a typical 38-year-old guy. And so all of that exists in the background, and with the family especially, kind of fuels my motivation to make sure that I can do better at business, so I can provide a life for them. But setting aside all that, then you go into real estate, you strive to be successful in business and stuff like that, and it's all geared around the real estate space now.
I love that. So Star Wars, little golf, and I love suburbs, 15 minutes drive to the office. Like, I wish. So I also have a place in the suburbs, right, from the city. Takes me 2.5 hours.
Oh, good night.
Yeah, so I love San Diego, right, because it's a big city, yet it's very small.
Yeah,
and intimate.
I lived in downtown for 10 years, right by Petco Park, by the ballpark. And then when we got pregnant with our second baby, we needed more space, and so we bought our house back in 2020, or no, early 2021. And so we moved a little bit east, but at the same time, it's not far. It's 12 to 15 minutes, depending on traffic.
That's great, man. That's awesome. So before getting into real estate, what did you do? Like, what was the career path you were taking?
Right out of school, I got a job at Wells Fargo. I was a teller, and then a banker,
wow.
and then became an assistant manager, and then became a branch manager.
Wow.
And so that's what brought me down. I was born and raised in Sacramento, California, which is up north. And then in 2010, I moved down to San Diego for a branch manager job down here. And so, and that took me, so from 2010 to 2012, I was branch manager at Wells Fargo. And then I left to I got into real estate. And that's when I got licensed in early 2013.
Wow.
So
and
just about 10 years.
About 10 years, 11 years. That's amazing. And how long you've been with Wells Fargo? How long did you stay with them?
I was with them for 4 or 5 years. And then now I've been in real estate for just over 10.
So funny, my brother-in-law, he also works corporate within a bank. So similar story, and he's building himself up. And, it takes you years to climb the ranks, right? And you climb the rank into being the branch manager now, and you're going into real estate where there's a lot of uncertainty and you just don't know what's going to happen. The paycheck's there sometimes it's not. It's like, what was the trigger for you? Because that takes a lot of balls to make that move.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the story was that there was we were helping these clients that would come in with these like $50,000 commission checks at the time, and I'm just like, man, what are they doing that I'm not doing here at the bank? I was coming over to do the overrides and stuff, but ultimately, I had that sparked an interest in real estate. Not to say, I've always thought about real estate even coming up, but it was never, I didn't go to school for it. I don't even know how you go to school for real estate, but
you didn't born like loving houses.
I wasn't born into it. I didn't have parents in the
it.
industry. Yeah. It's not like I came from a family of real estate agents or anything. It was more so the motivation was like, hey, how do I get to that next point in my career where I'm the entrepreneurial itch of owning my own business, but then secondarily where there was enough money in it, I guess you could say, to make it worthwhile. And that's what led me into the real estate industry. Just the ability to do, and now that I'm in it too, it's funny. It's like we're agents, but there's 78 different ways to make money in this business, from wholesaling to BRRR to coaching to agent attraction to, right. It's like, theoretically, there's so many ways to make money in this business that aren't even agent based. It's really awesome.
Yeah. Now, 2012, you got into the business, right? It's kind of when the market was, kicking back up, from the depression. Two things, right? I first want to nail down, you said something really interesting, which I agree 100% with. Now, in today's day and age, the agents, they have way more options on how they can make money than before. But is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? I almost feel like giving them too much, it makes them do less.
Could be. Yeah. Like ultimately, yeah. If being an agent was the only way to make money and you just had to pour into your agent skills, you would be a better agent.
Yeah.
But it just depends. What if you hate being an agent? It's almost like if cold calling was the only way to make money in this business, then I would have to get better at cold calling. But would I even stay in this business? I don't know. Like, but the fact that there's a ton of different ways to grow your agent business too, one of them being, video marketing and social media, that allowed me to even stay in the business. And so the ability to have options, it's almost like if you told me to drive from San Diego to New York, there's multiple roads that will get me there. You don't have to there might be a quickest one, but there's multiple ways to get there.
I would probably fly. I wouldn't drive.
True. I agree.
And I think so. That's pretty interesting, right? And the second point, like how did the market changed, or what are some of the similarities? Like you starting off 2012, it was a pretty tough market, right?
Yeah, I didn't know what I didn't know though. So when I started out, that was the only market I knew. So it didn't seem tough to me per se. The first couple of years were slow, just like everybody's first couple of years. And then year 3, I think I started to hit stride. I moved from doing like 5 deals a year to 20 between year 2 and year 3. And so that was like the first year where it was like, okay, now there's like, I'm making 6 figures and I'm like running a business, and it felt a little bit more real at that point. And then, so now you're talking 2014 to 2020, that it was all to me kind of the same market, even though if I go back and look at the numbers, I'm sure there were ups and downs. And then 2020, COVID got weird. There was a couple months off and then a spike. And then 2021 was by far and away the most productive year of most people's careers. And so, and now in 2023, it's almost the opposite, where it's a complete down market, but it's almost to me more like the 2014 like market was. And so, and I don't have the 2008 to 12 experience to reflect back on. So I don't know what that actual kind of depression market was. To me, to be 100% honest with you, there's opportunity in every market. Everywhere. I feel like if I were around in the 2008 to 2012 market, I have so many investors that are looking to pick up purchase like options, like if they could buy on a low, because everybody not everybody, but a lot of our investors right now are just cash rich. They're just sitting on cash. And if the market were to crash today, they would probably be acquiring so many properties that I would almost just turn into like a acquisitions agent for an investor, which is fine, because you would have so much business on that front. So while the luxury market might struggle, you would have investor markets that didn't exist for the last 10 years. So there's opportunity in every market. You just got to find it.
Yeah. And I think, having the ability to pivot too, right? Like, if something worked for you in the past few years and it's just not working now, like go and try something else. Maybe try a little different approach, right? So being coachable and being willing to change things at time, I think that's crucial.
Yep.
Now, I just want to say something. And again, like for those of you joining into Real Talk with JT, we try to keep it real over here, right? So sometimes I might speak my mind a little, and I wouldn't say I'm gonna offend somebody, but I might raise some questions. So here's my thing, right? What's going on today, which I think it's actually quite interesting. And you said it, there's so many tools and venues on how agents can get recognized as being the authority in a certain field and actually get business out of it, right? So you got a lot of agents, which are really good agents. They're experienced agents. They know what they're talking about, but maybe they're not as present on the social media and in the video game like other players, right? And the other guys, hey, maybe they have no fucking clue what they're talking about, but maybe they're good with videos, right? So when somebody looks online and they search maybe on YouTube and they're like, oh my God, this guy sounds great. Like he knows what he's talking about. He can help you to sell the house. Well, it doesn't mean that he's good at selling real estate. He's probably great at making videos, but is it necessarily equates to being great at selling real estate?
Correct.
And look, you can look at this from a positive point of view or negative point of view. I actually look at it from positive point of view because it gives the ability for brand new agents to dominate the market, with agents who's been in business for 30, 40 years and have a pretty big book of business, but they can come in, take market share, and become the authority. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
That's absolutely true. Yeah, I think that the OGs in the business who have been around for 30 years, they know
Step it up.
they have more experience, and they're more trusted by the public because they've just done it. They have more at bats. But the world is shifting into more social media video marketing consumption. And that's where the rookies can dominate, because we grew up, or even the generation below me grew up with Instagram and TikTok and social media marketing and YouTube. And so the thing is they're spending too much time doing stupid videos pointing at things that disappear instead of providing value. So the old Tom Ferry, the people need to know you, like you, and trust you. The OGs are trusted, but not necessarily known. The young guns are known, but not necessarily trusted. But I feel like the young guns are going to learn the business. And if the OGs don't learn the social media and the side of things, the young guns are going to win. And that's where we're going over the next 5 or 10 years, if not potentially already there on a lot of fronts. Is if you can master the social side of things, because that's how people find you, which means you get known. If you're personable or funny, they're going to like you. But do they trust what you're saying? And that only comes with experience and knowledge and social proof. But I feel like the young guns have a better opportunity to convey that versus the OGs modifying. You know what I mean? It's like kind of the whole thing. Can't teach an old dog new trick. I disagree. I think you can, but I think the older crowd is not adapting to the new reality more so than the newer crowd is getting the experience they need. That's going to be a big trend to watch over the next 5 years.
So now, like, if I'm the old dog, right, and I've been doing it forever, but I kind of struggle with the video game, like, what would be your suggestions for me?
Just hire someone to help you. Like, you're going to have to get a little bit comfortable on video, I would say. Like, there's a team member now. He was the broker who hired me 12 years ago or 11 years ago. He's now on my team, and he's not. I mean, he's his own agent. He does 20 deals a year. He's, he's been in the business 20 years. He's fine. So he's on my team, but from a consulting almost point of view. And so what we're working on for him is getting out there on social, putting himself on video, conveying to his clients, staying in touch with his past clients via email and stuff like that. I think that it can absolutely be done. It's just, it's going to be, you can't hire it out to somebody else. You need to be on the camera. But I think it's, if you can adapt and learn, hire someone to do the technical side of the posting for you, and just spend some time batch content and getting on camera and stuff like that. So there's opportunity for both sides to learn the other side and dominate.
Yeah. And also I like the comment, like you said, just get someone behind the camera. Because I'm sure, like, there's moments in their business or opportunities where they're actually producing a lot of really valuable content, like meeting with people, sitting down and sharing some of the stories and stuff. Totally. But they're just not capturing those moments,
Totally. Yep, you're absolutely right. Yeah, if they could spend some time, get some client success stories, not just a client review, but actual like client success stories where they, did something that, use an escalation clause to help them win, help their buyer win, or did some other tactic that helped save their buyer $3,000 in repairs. If they can start to share those stories, because those are the things that they do better than anybody else because they have the experience. And if they could just find ways to share those stories via social, they probably have more content to share.
Yeah.
That would be, trustworthy content.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea and a great little nugget. So I know, Jason, you said from year 2 to year 3, you went from like 4 deals to 20 deals, right? I believe you said.
Yep.
So what was like that difference maker? Was it just the level of confidence, or was it like you start taking some magic pills to make that happen?
Yeah, I went to the gas station and I found these pills. No, I think that, so I worked in a different office between the two. And so like the new office culture was like very much a competitive environment where you're coming in by 8 o'clock every day and you're making a certain amount of calls. I think that there's value to that. I think surrounding yourself with people who are competitive, or having your goals set to compare you with other people who are doing better than you. You know what I mean? Like producing a lot is really valuable. And so secondarily, that new office, they had an investor. that was really helpful because you could I could scour the MLS, I could drive, and I can find flip opportunities and give them cash flip opportunities. So having a good developer investor in your Rolodex is helpful. I mean, with those guys, they're always buying if the numbers work out. So now you just got to go find them a deal, and you can, I think that year I added 6 deals to them, three flips, which were 3 purchases and 3 resales. So that was like 6 deals.
That's nice.
That I was able just by picking up that investor throughout the year. So that was helpful too. And then I think year 3, 4, 5, I think year 3 and 4 and 5, you start to naturally progress in your business because you start to get some past clients that start to come back. You get some more social proof, some word of mouth. And to be honest, I was 27 when I started. So 28, 29, so 30 years old. Your friend group at 30 years old starts to buy and sell, right? Like there's a natural progression of that just with age. It's like when you're in your 20s, you don't have as many of your friend group buying and selling houses. When you get into your early 30s, it just naturally happens that way. So a lot of things I think happened. I wish I could say it was, some magic pill, but I think a lot of things just kind of naturally happen, as well as being in the office, right? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Yeah. I was also working every day, and I have a CRM and I have the type of stuff set up.
Oh, really? You got to work in real estate? Oh my God, I thought you get into real estate just to hang out and have fun with people around the water cooler. You know what I mean?
It's an interesting concept, John.
And I'm trying to. That's something, especially these days, right? Like we try to be with the new agents, especially new agents. We're like, hey, this is a job, okay? Like we're gonna have a lot of fun time and we're gonna make a lot of money. However, you got to come to the office. You got to do the things which most likely you're not going to enjoy at first. Like people are going to hang up the phone and they're going to curse you. You're going to feel like shit. And you're going to cry in the corner sometimes. It's just part of it, right? But if you want to make a lot of money and help a lot of people along the way, the recipe is here. It's do you see that challenge with some of the agents on your team or agents which they want to be on your team as well?
Yeah, definitely. My team, I've been blessed a little bit. My core team has been with me for 3 to 5 years, and so I've gone through times where I've seen them work harder or not work harder, and you'd see. I mean, just like me too, right? Like everybody's results are directly tied to what you were doing 90 days ago or 6 months ago, and so you can see it for sure. And I think that in this business, it's 85% of the people don't make it through year 3, right? And it's because the amount of work that it takes to get to a place where you can sustain a family or sustain, a career. Because that's the thing is my first 2 years, I was doing a lot of lease, turnovers, property management and stuff. And then at the end of each year, I'm I didn't get into this business to make 40 grand a year, 50 grand a year. And so I needed to take that safety net away and jump right into sales. But for the first couple of years in a new business, people don't, they may not see a direct result of their efforts, and then come out making 30 grand a year, and it's then they're out of the business.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, if you put in that work and you budget your time and you actually stick, have some sort of a strategy and stick with it, it can be really profitable.
Yeah. So I mean, guys, for those of you watching it, either new agents or thinking about getting licensed, I think picking up the right partner, the right environment, the right team, where you have the support and the training and the access, and where they're actually going to tell you, hey, listen, if you don't be successful, these are the things you got to do on a consistent basis, and they help you and support you to get that done, right? That's going to be way easier than you try to figure it out on your own and make all those mistakes, right? And lose all the money and setbacks. And then, 85% of people within the first 3 years, they quit a business, right? Because they don't know what they have to do and they're struggling. So, Jason, how do you stay ahead in the constantly changing real estate market, especially with the new trends right now in digital and social media?
I always kind of work from the thesis of if I'm my ideal client, and everybody figures out their ideal client. But for me, if I'm 38-year-old, married, 2 kids, I'm my ideal client, my ideal avatar. So where do I consume my media? So in my personal time, where am I consuming that, right? It's usually social media, YouTube, Instagram, Zillow, Google. I have a list of places where I consume my content. So I make sure that I market to those places, if that makes sense. And so I'm spending my time where I spend my time, if that makes sense. And so I'm always kind of auditing that. And so, if they're, when new things come up, I'll test them out, right? Snapchat, TikTok, these new platforms, and I'll test them out. And then if I don't find myself personally using them, I don't spend a ton of time marketing there. One thing that's interesting is like as a younger person in the business, in your 30s even, it's like you can also get too caught up into the social media and forget that a lot of this business is done via email and via phone calls and texts and in person, belly to belly. And so I would caution not to over-index on the new stuff and changing. There are a lot of traditional tried and true ways of doing business that are tried and true for a reason. And so majority of being like calling and texting and meeting your clients in person, all of that should trump all the other stuff for sure. You should lead with that. But what we always try to do is we try to take those tried and true methods and evolve them. Like you talked about a little bit earlier, it's like you're taking old school marketing techniques, but making them new. So like, for example, we have a buyer that we're working with in La Jolla, and she's looking up to $4 million. And in the past, I would have wrote 1,500 mailers to this particular neighborhood in La Jolla saying, hey, I have a buyer. Her name is this. She's looking for this. That's called a I have a buyer letter. That's been done since my entire career in real estate. Well, we did that, so we still did that. But then what we also did was we shot a video version of that. And we're like, hey, I have a buyer. Her name is Haley. She's looking up to 4 million. And then we run that as an Instagram ad across La Jolla, which is where she's looking. So now it shows up on people's Instagrams. It's like, hey, I have a buyer. They're looking for a home in La Jolla. So not only are you taking the old school tactics, but you're modernizing them. You know what I mean? And so like, I personally like finding those ways where you can like evolve something. And take an old school tactic, which works, and modernize it a little bit. That's what I like to do.
No, I love that. That's a great little tip over there. Now with the Instagram, do you and I don't mean to get technical too much, but do you run it through Facebook into Instagram, or you running it just on Instagram as a platform?
Either or. So we shoot those with every buyer now. Depending on like if we have a buyer representation agreement, we'll shoot a higher end one with like our videographer because it costs $100 or whatever to prep a video. And so the professional ones, if I share it to my Instagram page, I can just boost it through there and draw a custom audience. If I don't share it to my Instagram page, because I don't share them all, sometimes I just shoot it with a cell phone. I'll run, then those you'll go into the Facebook ads manager and run it through there. And then when you go into your placements, you just unselect everything, only leaving Instagram stories. And so the ad will only show up on Instagram stories instead of everywhere else. And the reason being is because you're shooting it in vertical. And so you want it to show up on Instagram stories instead of like the Facebook feed or the Instagram feed, because it won't be formatted the right way. And so by doing it this way and just running it through the Facebook ads manager and only selecting Instagram stories, you've just created like an Instagram story ad, even though you're not running it on your Instagram page, if that makes sense.
I mean, how much time do you spend on the research and seeing like what people are talking about, and how much time do you spend actually on the technology to really educating yourself?
It depends. So Facebook ads specifically, and Instagram by default, because Instagram is owned by Facebook. I spent some time early in my career there. So like I learned it. I did some A/B testing. I probably spent 5 figures, right? In money and time. That looking back, I probably could have just hired out and just had someone. But now I know how to run Instagram and Facebook ads. I felt like early in my career as I was coming up, I'm like, this is important. This is going to be a way that I generate business in the future. I should probably learn how to run these. And it doesn't, I mean, you could probably go on YouTube or, spend half a day and learn how to run these ads. It's not like crazy. And so, but then there's like Google pay-per-click, which is also a way that we generate leads. But I hire that out to a marketing company called Curator, who I've worked with for about 6 years. Shout out to Jimmy Mackin and the team at Curator. And so like, I didn't spend any time learning the ins and outs of Google pay-per-click. So, it kind of depends on, again, like, where do I consume content? I know that I've bought things before through Instagram. Like I've been targeted and bought things. And so I'm like, that's genius. A, B, no other realtors do this. Like, you know what I mean? All those old OGs, they're not running Instagram story ads. So it's a marketplace that my ideal consumer shops in, and nobody else is there. How do I go there? So spend some time to learn how to run an Instagram story ad or something. But Whereas, Google pay-per-click, I don't click ads as much. I know how to skip through them, but I know that they're really valuable. So I'll just outsource it. I'm not going to spend a ton of time in the weeds on those.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Curator and Jimmy Mackin, right? Like,
My guy.
that's and I think, when you start in the business, right, and you sole agent, you almost become like a generalist. You got to know everything and be
Yeah.
average. And as you start scaling, you kind of start delegating more, and you become more of a specialist, like a GC, and you just have subcontractors, the professionals for different faucets, right?
Yep. Exactly.
So what are the best tips for getting and keeping clients interested, especially in a market with so much competition and I think scarcity, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, those are two, right? Getting clients and then keeping them interested or keeping them engaged are kind of two different things. Getting clients in this business, just however you can, like ultimately, like having a referral come to you is probably the best thing that you can do. Because that person already knows you, likes you, and trusts you a little bit because they're referred by someone that they know or like or trust. And so building out like an agent referral network, meeting agents across the country who are feeder markets of yours, that's a great thing. I think every agent should be part of an agent referral network, either offered through their brokerage or maybe setting one up themselves, right? Or some version.
Any suggestions for any agent referral network where people can?
Well, I don't know if this was teed up specifically, but I actually started one called Refer. Funny enough, with your previous guest, Eric Simon, the broke agent, and I co-founded the Refer Network, which is a
I love
nationwide
that.
referral network. So, and that's cool. So we have about 100 agents across the U.S., and each one is exclusive to their city. And so we have referral partners across the U.S. sending deals back and forth. In fact, shout out to our good mutual friend, Leah Fernandez, who just referred a client up to Baltimore. So like you see these
Oh,
referrals
let's
going
go. Let's go, Leah.
all
I
day
love
long,
that.
right? So she sent I think it was it was like a 300K referral up, but to our Baltimore agent who got it into contract. So being part of a referral network, and there's numerous options, right? So there's Realm Global, which is a competitor to Refer, but I mean, they're like 9 or 10 grand a year. So they're really expensive. Ours is not that expensive. And there's free ones out there. It's just that then you're not exclusive. So you have multiple agents per city. Get involved with some sort of referral network, build that out nationwide, not only for best tips and practices, masterminding with that group, but also getting referrals. Secondarily, I would say spend a lot of time on video. Become the digital mayor of your town. Yeah, go interview or not interview. I think interviewing the local business owners is a little bit overdone. I think listing your favorite 3 coffee shops and then putting that on social media is actually a better tactic for that. Your 3 favorite sushi restaurants in San Diego, your 3 favorite pizza spots, and then like that's really compelling.
I love that one. That's so good.
As opposed to going and interviewing a local business owner, which is fine. It's just you spend a lot more time and you're only limited to the one business. And so for a new agent, like can literally shoot hours and hours of content via their phone of their favorite, just detailing out their favorite things to do around the city, and then marketing that. Become the digital mayor of your town on video. That's tip number 2. I think those 2 things together are going to be a good foundation for a real estate business, and then get really good at once you've got the client, keeping them interested. Anybody who's on my buy list or my sell list, these are people who have expressed interest in doing some sort of a transaction. They're getting pretty routine contacts with me, whether that be via phone call, text, or in person. Pro tip, I always say this too: if you have a client who has a husband and wife, right, put them all on the text thread together. Don't just communicate with one spouse. That was a mistake I made early in my career. I think that when there's a home search set up, you want to make sure both partners are on that group thread together, and then name it something cute, like the Cassidy's home adventure or the Cassidy's home search, and then you should be sending properties to both of them on that thread. That significant other has their own full set of friends as well. So when you're talking about referrals in the future and stuff like that, you want to make sure you're friends with both of the decision makers. So that's something, again, like I don't just set up my clients on a property search. I set them up on a property search, and then every other day or so, I send them manually via text one of the properties that they may have looked at via the property search and say, hey, what did you think about this one? Right? Or I'm looking for properties off market that I can bring to them and say, hey, this one's not on the property search, but I heard about it from this other agent in my office. What do you think? And just make sure that you're keeping the dialogue open.
Yeah. And I think, and again, that's a little bit, thinking outside the box, right? Like sending them the individual property, which, they looked at and probably even favorite, right, on
Yep.
your website.
Totally. Yeah. If you have that capability through your search thing where you can see what they've liked and favorited, even better.
Yeah. Me personally, I learned a couple times a lesson where I closed on a deal, husband and wife, right? And I just have them saved as a one contact.
Yeah.
So I'll be just speaking to the husband, and a few months down the line, I find out the wife brother was selling a house and a buying, and I was like, Mr. Husband, why you didn't let me know? And I was like, I should have spoken to the wife as well.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. Not only because she's also decision maker in the process, so there's that. Oftentimes, probably the primary decision maker when you're talking about who actually gets to decide on the house. But like both partners have their own spheres and their own networks, and you want to make sure that you're talking to both people.
Yeah, that's crucial. Now I know I just want to go back. I know you talk a little about Jeremy Knight from Austin, Texas, right? And something funny.
I didn't talk about Jeremy Knight, but I love Jeremy Knight. And today's his birthday, by the way.
Oh my God! Happy birthday, Jeremy!
Shout out to Jeremy Knight.
All
Happy
the
birthday.
best, my man. We gotta call you right after. So Jeremy Knight, Ken Pozak, Trey Serrano, Ian of Austin, and good friend of mine, Rod Olivan. Right now, there's something common about these 5 guys. 2 things in common. Well, the number one thing in common is they're absolute rock stars when it comes to YouTube and video production. But number 2, they're all selling and living in cities which they didn't live in. And I find it really interesting where people from outside the cities, they move to a neighborhood and they don't know anybody. They have no connections. They have no clue about the area. They have no clue about real estate. But what they do, they want to get to know the real estate. They want to get to know the neighborhood. So they start shooting the videos about this just as educational. Like, they're educating themselves about it and they're putting it out. And now they are the authorities in those cities.
Yep.
Right? So I really like that because they went all in on that.
Yep.
They didn't do like multiple things at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, look at Ken Pozak, right? He's from Detroit, and you would think that the kid was born and raised in Orlando because he is the digital mayor of Orlando. In fact, he's probably going to try to run for actual mayor someday.
Yes.
He's so plugged in to everything Orlando that no one would ever know that he wasn't from Orlando because he's so plugged in. But you're absolutely right. Like Jeremy, shout out to Jeremy. He came from San Diego.
That's right.
And so, but like ultimately, like with the tools that you have to learn your marketplace, put out video content, you could become the digital mayor very quickly over the course of just a year or two, where every neighborhood and every development that's coming. And all of that is great YouTube content to be putting out to build up a channel. Yeah. So everything from, that building that they knocked down over there, what's going to go there in the future to, freeway work that's being done and how it impacts travel times. Like you can literally make neighborhood content every single day for your career and not run out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. And that's such a good content for people, to search for online. Right. And that's evergreen. Like they're going to build up that new bridge. And that video is going to be there forever, people to really see.
Yep.
Right. So that's amazing. Now, something for agents which are actually thinking of maybe joining a team, right? So when you're looking to join a team, you're looking to choose a team, and for the Cassity team, right? Like, what qualities do you guys look for, and how do you create a successful and growth-oriented culture?
Great question. I'm in the process of kind of revamping how I do the team. I have a team of 5. They've been with me for years, and I actually think I set up the team wrong. I think that when you're a team leader, one of the early mistakes you can do is just bringing on a bunch of agents. And I think that for a team to be a team, think about a baseball team. you have a pitcher and a catcher and a first base and a second base and a third base, right? Each individual person is doing their job in different jobs to help the team. And I think what I did, and I see a lot of agents doing, is I'm a pitcher, and I hired another pitcher and another pitcher and another pitcher. And these are people who aspire or want to inspire, want to be like me. And that's why they reached out to me, is because they see on social, or they see this. And now what I've done is I haven't built a team. I've built a dugout of pitchers. And while that's fine, like that's cool, what ends up happening is I didn't actually solve the problem that adding team members was going to help me do. I ended up taking from myself and my own production to give to them. And I think that that's a mistake that a lot of new team members do, is they think, or agents as they grow and they think they want to start a team, is they start to add agents. And so ideally, looking back, if I did it again, I would probably hire an assistant first to help me get from 20 deals to 30 deals, or whatever that number is for you, right? Like when you've hit a certain individual wall and you want to go to the next level. And then you start to hire out some sort of like maybe an ISA, transaction coordinator. TCs, you can usually get third party, some sort of a marketing assistant. And then you can start to layer in agents once you've built the systems in place. And so now what I'm looking to do is potentially, I still have my team members and they'll continue to be here. But as I continue to grow, I'm going to grow for the needs of my team, as opposed to just trying to get other people here. And so that being said, what do I look for? I don't care. Like I can go from a brand new agent to a top producer who wants to join the team. I'm looking for people that are engaged and want to be here. I'm not looking for part-time agents. That's been the biggest thing, is because the amount of time that we, and me as a team leader specifically, are going to impart into those people is going to be, it's a lot. I mean, we do one-on-ones, we do team meetings, and I provide leads, I buy leads, and I give them
takes
leads.
away, and it takes away from the other agents.
100%.
That's the
yeah.
issue.
100%. Yeah. If I have a part-time agent who doesn't want to show up to the meetings and all that type of stuff, that's more power to them. That you can do that in real estate, but it's just probably not going to be on my team, because I'm buying leads and I'm putting output into you. And so I need someone who's going to return that favor. And then outside of that, there's cultural, like I want a culture fit. Like I don't want somebody who's going to badmouth other brokerages. Like there's a lot of kind of baseline layers. Just, do I want to hang out with this person a lot? You know what I mean? And so that has always been on me during the interview process. I think moving forward, starting in 2024 with the new org that we're looking to kind of roll out, is I'll have me and one of my team members kind of in charge of that, where we can do kind of a joint interview type thing together. And then so outside of that, we have a marketing team and we have a transaction coordination team. So it's really just maybe finding a director of ops to help the team members. So yeah. And then the cool part is, I mean, I know this is a real podcast, and so I can kind of talk freely about it, but with the way the attraction kind of levels work is like, you could also, my team is 5 people here in San Diego, but the network is hundreds, right? And it's like, these are people across the country that you've now met. And it's like, some people can join up with you in a sense, right? As a sponsor kind of role. And it's like, you get like a mentorship and you're talking amongst each other, but they're not actually on your team per se. Like they're their own agents. And so like, we can do that too, which is kind of cool, is that it's like, hey, maybe you're part-time, or maybe this or that. It's like, maybe we're not a good fit together on a team, but have you considered maybe joining Real, tapping into the academy and the things that are offered from the brokerage? And then I'll be here as a mentor to kind of support and guide you, where I'm not going to give you leads and all that type of stuff, because you're not on my team, but I can still be a part of your journey. It's a very cool wrinkle.
Yeah. And I think also, Jason, I love that, love that option as well, right? And vice versa. You might have an agent which might be on a team, right? And now they're kind of ready and maybe being on their own and doing their thing. And that's great, right? And be still part of the circle. But what I'm kind of hearing, like, I think having more clarity in terms of what the expectation is of that relationship, and what the job actually looks like, and what it consists, right? And what the schedule should be, and what the support is, and the training. And you want this much support, and you probably should be here. Maybe you need a little bit less support of that, but you need a little bit more of this. Then maybe you should be here. But when you hear, if you really want to be successful, like, these are the metrics. like this is non-negotiable. These are the values of the team and kind of minimum standards. Like that's what we do, and kind of roll with it, right? That's what you mean.
Yep, correct. That's exactly right. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Now, if you can do it all over again, right? Like, what would you do differently?
I mean, I am very happy with where my career has gotten to this point. I think that I probably have left a lot of deals on the table by not following up as quickly. So maybe hiring like an assistant earlier,
Okay.
and some sort of like an ISA to make sure I wasn't letting things slip through the cracks would have been a better hire versus just hiring agents early on. You know, like if I could have just done the Cassity team as a team of 2 or 3 early on and like maybe established my systems a little bit better, maybe I would have closed a few more deals along the way. But I'm very happy with the agents that I have on my roster now. And so
Mm-hmm.
like I also think that there's a little bit of like clout and social proof by having a team, a successful team. So when you're talking about even agent attraction or referrals from other agents,
Huge.
when they see, oh, this guy's got a successful team, it does help a little bit. So like I don't know that it was the wrong move. I think I might have done it a little bit differently. But ultimately, I think that I'm very happy with where we've landed so far. I think if you really want to get granular with it, like probably moving into a cloud-based model earlier would have been even a bigger win. You know, Compass. You know, I was with another brokerage. I just said the name for 4 years before, and they were great for my career growth. I did a lot of deals there. But I spent a lot of money to be there. To be honest, my
Mm-hmm.
P&L, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in split just to be at the brokerage where I wasn't getting the exact value back. I probably could have been anywhere else. So if I had, I don't want to say if I had known about the model, because I did know about the model with another cloud-based model and I turned it down because I wasn't a big fan of the culture and the stigma of what was happening
Mm-hmm.
there. And so, you know, perhaps if I had been turned on to maybe Real or you know, something like this a little bit sooner, then we could have maybe saved a lot of money and maybe earned a little bit more attraction money along the way. But what's it like?
Those are
What
the lessons, right?
100%. There's
Priceless.
no
Yeah.
there. It's not like it's, you know, it's whatever. Like this is very in the weeds. I'm very happy with the path that we've taken so far.
That's awesome, man. Now, you know, you are great at creating an awesome video content,
Oh,
right?
thanks.
Like, what are 3 tips for agents out there which are like they thinking about it, they know they got to do it? What would you give 3 tips, 3 things, simple things they can kind of get going and keep doing, and get it started with the videos?
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing is if you haven't already done this, like everybody who has an iPhone with 3 cameras like this or newer, I have an iPhone 12. This is like not the newest camera. You can go right into your video camera. So if you just go to the camera itself and switch it to video, and then in the top right here, it probably says HD 30, and you can tap it a couple times to switch it over to 4K 60, and you can instantly improve your video camera. And so
Oh wow.
now with your video camera at 4K 60, you can film yourself using this camera, and it's like a professional quality camera now, right? And so like basically like, and I just have this little gimbal here, and you can just buy a tripod on Amazon for this.
Mm-hmm.
And so by switching your thing to 4K 60 and setting up like a little tripod, you can shoot 90% of the video content that you need to shoot, that we always talk about as like things to shoot, with your phone. Now I still work with a videographer on some stuff too, because it's just easier to have them
Mm-hmm.
film it and edit it. But like literally the easiest thing in the world is switching to 4K and just filming yourself and then just editing it yourself right on the phone. And there's no more excuses when it comes to video content. I think it's a tip that's overlooked. Not saying you could shoot in HD 30 and it's better than nothing, but like you could have a 4K. Most of us with iPhone 12 or newer have 4K capabilities that we don't even know about. A lot of times I share that tip on stage, and like people in the crowd are like, "Oh my God, like I didn't know." And so switching your camera to 4K and then filming on a tripod is 90% of the job right there. So that's the first tip. Second tip is I would say that you don't need to get too in the weeds. Like the first 100 videos, like don't get into the analysis paralysis side of things where you're too worried about it, so you don't post it. Post it, even
You mean
if it's a
like
little bit off.
perfecting it, making
Yeah,
sure the
don't
makeup's good, you look good,
correct.
you sound good, all that stuff. Okay.
Done is better than perfect. And so I would rather you do it than worry about it being perfect and not
Mm-hmm.
posting it, because you know, I think it's James Clear in the Atomic Habits book. He has the photographer example where half the room is a photography class, and half the class was graded at the end of the year based on one photo. So they spent the entire year studying and learning what goes into a perfect photo, and then they submitted one photo.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half of the class was based on quantity of photos. So their goal was not to study per se, is just to take as many photos as possible and learn that way.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, the side of the class that had the quantity outscored the side of the class that had the quality. And so ultimately it's like, you just get the at-bats and put as many videos out as possible. I mean, don't put out like bullshit, stupid stuff, but like put out as many videos as possible.
Me eating a dinner, or
make it relevant.
Yeah.
Is going to do way more success, or way better for your career than trying to do like the perfect video, if that makes sense. James Corden, who is the carpool karaoke guy, he's the late night show. He is most famous for carpool karaoke, where he had celebrities and they would sing their songs while they were driving in the car. That's like his shtick. That's like his most famous skit. The thing is he'll tell you he had 50 other skits that he pitched before carpool karaoke, right? And it's just, that was number 50 or 49, and that's the one that took off.
Yeah.
So ultimately, like, keep trying things, keep putting videos out, and then you're going to have one or two of those videos that become your thing. And then that might be some property tour with a cool thing that you do that now becomes your thing, goes viral, and now you have tons of listings because you meet these developers and do all this stuff. But the thing is, you won't know till you try it. Just put out as much content as possible. Those two tips together, and you can do it from your phone. You're off and running.
I love that. It is so good. And I also love, like, most people getting into this business, but about life in general with your social media, right? They think that success happens overnight. And, it takes years and years to kind of build that thing up. But the exciting thing is, you never know, right? Like, sometimes you might put a video and you don't get anything. And you might be putting videos and nothing happens. And then you might do the thing, is like, oh my God, and you hit the jackpot, right?
Correct. Yep.
But you just never know when that happens. And that's actually a good thing about real estate. It never gets boring.
Correct. I agree.
So what is one of the most expensive but good lessons in your business? Because I know, it's a lesson, right, which you pay for. So I'm sure, you're going to get that return in the future. But which one was like?
Yeah, there's two things that come to mind, and it wasn't something that I spent money on per se. Like, well, okay, so Facebook marketing in like 2012 through 15, I spent a lot of money learning how to run Facebook ads and Instagram ads and stuff like that. That is money that I wish I could get back now. But I learned how to do them and like how to place them and stuff like that. And so I would say that that's probably a expensive lesson, is like I self-taught how to run Facebook and Instagram ads. You can learn by watching YouTube and probably figure it out much cheaper than I did. But it's a tool and a lesson that I'm glad I have. So that's an expensive lesson that I learned. I think more along the lines of what you're thinking is, it still happens to this day. It's like, for me and my team, I spend so much money acquiring consumers through online lead gen, like in general, Facebook leads, Zillow leads, Google pay-per-click. And then we don't follow up, or I don't follow up as much as possible, right? You need to follow up like 5 to 10 times, according to Tom Ferry, like 12 times in order to get in touch with an online lead. It just takes a lot more at bats. And for years, even into this year, right? It's like I call once or maybe twice. Now I have buyer's agents, and it's like I give it to them and they only call once or twice and they don't get in touch with them. So they just put them into the CRM and put a drip on. At the end of every year, there's 3 or 4 or 5 people that they're like, oh, I already bought. Can you take me off your list? And it's just like, damn it, that is an expensive lesson.
You gotta get rid of follow boss.
Well, like in a sense, like you need a CRM, but like relying on the CRM is to tell you who to contact that day. The CRM isn't there to do the contacting for you. And I think
not yet. The AI is coming soon, hopefully.
Totally. But a lot of people are like, I've got them on a drip, so when they're ready, they'll
call me. Yes.
Or I put out social media content and I know they're on my social media, so that means they saw that. Maybe, It probably not, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
how many deals did I miss? Say 3 a year. That's
Oh,
conservative.
probably more, way
The
more.
amount of leads I
Yeah.
generated for 10 years, say 3 a year, that's conservative. That's 30 deals that I missed at an average commission of, we'll be conservative again and say 10,000. We're more like 15 here in San Diego, but say 10, that's $300,000 in my career that I've left on the table. That's a house. That's 50% down on a house, right? On a rental property here.
And they're not coming back. You're not getting your
And
money
it's
back.
not
They're
coming
gone.
back. That is the most expensive lesson that I've learned, is like, pick up the damn phone, right? And it's like, you can spend so much time worrying about social media, what to post, who am I talking to, that if you don't literally pick up the phone and talk to 10 to 20 people every single day, you didn't have a successful day, period. You didn't show up to work.
You know, all the money is in the follow up. You can't drop the ball. That's for sure, man.
Yeah.
So, what big changes, right? Like with the AI now, and I spoke to Ian of Austin. Let's give a big shout out to Ian, my man.
Shout out Ian. I was just texting
Uh,
with him this morning.
you know, we spoke yesterday about the AI and things, and it was like blowing my mind with the things, it could do. So like with some of the big changes, what are some of the new technologies, in the industry you see which they're gonna have like a huge impact in our business?
I think that AI will definitely impact the way we create content at scale. I'm going to tell you this. I've always been one of the guys who's on the forefront of change, when it came to Matterport cameras and then video marketing. And like, I was always doing I was always trying to be the first.
You got the 3D cameras too?
Yeah, the 3D, the Ricoh Theta
Yeah.
Vs or the Matterport cameras, right? And it's like this year, and with AI, I'm going to say is that I don't care. And I'm letting somebody else do the legwork for me. This is the ultimate like cheating to the whole process, is like, there are so many people that I follow in my real ecosystem, right? The Ray Allens and the Ian of Austin, these people who like have broke down, Will Draper, shout out Will. These people are like living Chat GPT, and they're integrating it into their business. I'm just letting them do it, and I'm going to learn from them a year from now and how, right? Pritesh, like I will let those people handle the AI and literally learn from them next year. And I'll buy their course if I have to, right? Now, the cool part is with the way our ecosystem works, they'll probably share it with us for free. But like, I'm not spending a ton of time learning how to integrate Chat GPT and all these things yet, because I think that they will. And I think that's probably the one that's going to become the most prevalent over the next 5 years. For content creation. I'm letting other people learn about it first, and then I'll learn once it's all polished and I can figure it out later. Because right now in this type of a market, I have, like in horse racing,
there's too much now.
They put the blinders on the horses so they can't see the people in the crowd and stuff like that. Right now, I'm literally just calling my 10 to 15 people a day, following up, with their home valuations, taking them out to coffee, and then putting out video content to those people. Like, that's it. Like when all of the stuff that they announced at Real, at the Rise conference, all I took away was the new listing presentation.
That's where the money is, right?
100%. And I'm like, this is cool, the wallet and the AI and all that stuff. And I'm like, the listing presentation, this is what matters to me right now, is like making sure that my team is structured properly and I have these basics mastered so that I can make sure that I'm crushing business in this year. That being said, I think to answer your question, I think AI will probably have the biggest change to the way we produce content over the next 5 or 10 years. So that, and then Zillow, to be like, I firmly believe too that with the NAR lawsuit and the way that it's kind of settling out, that there's going to be heavy changes to buyer agency compensation probably over the next 3 to 5 years. And so basically, like, we're getting really good at providing our like value through a buyer representation agreement. But also I see a world where maybe Zillow or Redfin or someone like that introduces like a flat fee option. And basically it's like, hey, you go find the home on your own. You can use our website, Zillow, to find it. Once you do, we'll help you write the offer and then contract to close it for a flat fee. Yeah. And you know what I mean? And it's like, do I pivot my business that way too? Is there a world where maybe we have 2 options where there's like a flat fee option? So I'm interested to see how that changes. And that's not a technology change. That's a regulation change. So AI integration and these regulation changes are the two changes that I am watching that I think will be big. That being said, they're both lower on the totem pole than the basics of buyer representation agreement, listing agreements, and talking to my clients. That's all that matters for me in 2024.
And that's really what drives the business as well, right?
Yep.
So now, last question for you, Jason. If you could be a superhero, which one would you be?
Dude, I mean, do we count Batman as a superhero?
Yeah. Yes.
Because I don't really know if Batman's a superhero. He's just a dude who's rich. But here's the deal. Being rich would be very beneficial to me right now in my business, because I would just not be Batman and I would just take his wealth and just put it into like my business. This is the stupidest question. If I had to take a superpower, which eliminates Batman from the cause, then I would probably say, okay, my other answer is Iron Man, who is also just a rich guy. He doesn't have superpowers either. So I think we're onto something here. Is I don't really care about superpowers.
Hey, you got to think about it.
I just want to be rich and have tools. I don't know, man. That's a great question. I think flying would be pretty cool. So who can fly? Superman? That'd be
Superman.
cool.
Yeah.
So
Superman. Yeah.
I'm a huge Star Wars guy, man. So if I could merge those two worlds together, and we can say that the Force is a thing, then give me some Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, some Force abilities where I can just like move shit.
Nice. That's great, man. Well, listen, it's 3:01 on the dot, and I want to be.
It's 12:01. I don't know where you are.
Yeah, super mindful of your time, right? It's like a lunchtime for you right now.
Yep.
So, Jason, I mean, me personally, I get so much value out of this. Thank you so much. Anything you would like to leave the viewers with before I kick you out?
No, I think, yeah, just thanks for watching. If you're this far into the podcast, that means you're a real one. You've been with us for a year or for an hour now. Just get ready for some changes coming to the industry, but ultimately control, the old school, like draw a circle around yourself and deal with everybody in the circle. I think if you wake up with the mindset that you can control your outcome and you work your ass off, you can have a wildly successful 2024. And I hope you do.
That's awesome. All right, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in today with us and Jason. Again, if you find it helpful, give us the likes, give us the peace sign, share it with your loved ones, and don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.
Hell yeah.
Peace out.
Bye, guys.